Happy Friday. Welcome to C&T Collectibles IMC, and this is your Friday Chart Blast. We are looking at the price action of our favorite collectibles and just seeing what we see here. So it doesn't matter what you think. It's all about the price action and what the market is telling you. We start off, as always, with GameStop. Wait, what? I just want to make a point here. Absolutely not advice. Please don't take this as such. But I just want to illustrate a quick point here. At the beginning of the year, you saw everything go nuts. Meme stocks, sports cards, they all just caught a weird bid, and for different reasons. But then you saw a pretty healthy correction crash. I mean, there's a lot of debate going on right now about crashes and pullbacks and dips and all that kind of stuff. And there's technical levels for that in the stock market. At least a correction is 10%. A bear market is 20% from the top. And so a few people have made some comments that I've seen, like, this is a dip, this is a correction. If you bought something at $150 and it's sitting at $170 now, but in the interim it was like $280, you're like, oh, you're still up. And it's like, well, yeah, you're still up, but I mean, in 2008 when the S&P went from 1576 down to 667, if you had bought it 400 back in the mid 80s or whatever, would you say you're still up, or would you have felt the effects of that crash? So you can't ignore that. You can spin it however you want, but good luck. But anyways, you saw this mania and this pullback to a certain level arise, and now you're seeing these things start to break out again. So GameStop, you can see AMC again, this consolidation, new highs, and so you're seeing animal spirits come back into the market. And I don't want to equate stocks with cards, completely. There's different reasons for it. There's different mechanisms in the stock market. You have people that are betting against the stock and they're forced to buy, and a lot of these things can drive it up. But to see that speculation come back in, to see people that are they're getting stimulus checks again, those are going out. A lot of the things that we saw last year are happening to a lesser extent, but we're getting some of those conditions back, and so you could see more selectively, but a rise in the market, and with a lot of things pulling back to certain levels. For me, I haven't really bought much this year, just a couple of smaller low end cards, but for the first time in months, I've hit my monthly self-imposed budget, and I think there's some opportunities out there. I'll try and share them with you. So enough rambling. Let's get on with Mike Trout, PSA 10, currently sitting at $3,600 in uptrend, sitting at the bottom line of this longer-term support channel here. So we were hoping for I was hoping that we would pull back to this area and kind of stall and hold. But the market said otherwise, and this is why you got to listen to the market. Whatever you think, it doesn't matter. So at the bottom of the range here, so kind of matching these highs here around that 3,500 area. It's at an interesting level. It's pulled back. Now the momentum is down, and it's continued to trend down. So a lot of things have broken their longer-term trend channel, but this is at least an interesting spot. If it does not hold, then you're probably coming back into this area where there is enough buying right around that $2,000, $2,500 area. So we'll see how that shakes out. We don't know. It's just about probabilities and all that kind of stuff here. So the PSA 9, however, sitting at $1,400, so that would imply a much higher, $5,200 price than what the PSA 10 is sitting at. So it would make sense for the 10 to get some bids and go higher, or does it make sense for the PSA 9 to break down? And so we've got this level that it's tested a few times here. Prices are compressing lower, so the probability of it breaking down is there. So very few buying in this area, so you could see this again. We've talked about this for a few weeks. Could you see a sub $1,000 PSA 9 Mike Trout? It's like that's certainly in the cards. It's not there yet. But him being hurt, again, I think that's short-sighted. But him being hurt is not going to help things. There's not a lot of relevance to him at this time. But then this would kind of line up with $900 PSA 9. Would be a $2,700 to $3,000 PSA 10, and that would coincide with the 10 breaking down a little bit. So we're not there on either of those, so it's just important to watch. But if this is a card that you've got a nice profit on and you're looking to take those profits in this area, if as soon as it breaks down, then you want to be aggressive with it, because there's not a lot of buying in here and the move could be swift. Man, I'm just taking all of your time today. I appreciate everybody who watches and every minute you have. I try to be respectful, but I'm sorry. I went off at a little bit tangent there. I apologize. Mookie Betts, compression, breakout, compression, breakdown. We were looking for this. So The momentum has been trending down for a few weeks, and it couldn't hold over the past week, and so it came down to the initial level that we were looking at, right around that $500 level here. So it's kind of ping-ponging around, and ideally what you want to see, and we'll, if this goes sideways long enough, I'll throw up the momentum again on that one, just kind of give us a hint of that regular direction, that of the direction and maybe it wants to go next. But there's a lot of buying in this area, that $400 to $500 area here. So as long as it holds above here, it's going to bounce, and then maybe you can pick up some steam. But again, the breakdown that unfortunately said probably going to happen has happened. Or fortunately, if you're looking for a Mookie Betts, I think you start to look a little bit harder right now. You look at his Chrome, nice bounce this week here, but it's been in a downtrend for a while. You had your uptrend that was broken, and it's trending down. But again, coming into an area where there's been a pretty decent amount of buying here. So again, I think that there's a lot of I think there's some opportunities starting to present themselves. Not saying that this downtrend is over by any extent here, but I think we're getting close in a few areas. So Luis Robert is one of those. So the trend is down. Okay, it's hitting the bottom of the range here, and it's accelerating. When I talked about this range a while ago, $100 on the downside, $150 on the upside, and this was before the injury. Said you got to watch this, because if you sustain above that 150, 155 area, you're probably looking at about $200. If you break below this, you're probably looking at a $50 PSA 10, which sounded ridiculous at the time. He was having a great season, but we've got 4 million years of evolution, and people like patterns and symmetry and all that. And so a $50 move is probably going to lead to a $50 move up or down, whichever way this breaks. And so just because we're we're a little more advanced now, we're not shaking that. We're not shaking that history, so that evolution. So $50 was the downside target. I don't know I didn't know what the catalyst was to be there. I wasn't, maybe he would get off to a slow start. I didn't think, the injury or anything like that. I just knew that, or not knew, but just the probability of it getting to 50 was in the cards. And here you are sitting at $48. So if you're looking for a Lou Bob, I think this is where you just start doing it, and maybe it goes a little bit further, but I don't know how much further it would go. But just psychologically, it's hitting that level that we kind of pointed out in here. So I myself purchased Lubab. So there it is. I could be really wrong on that one. Who knows? But you could come back and not perform at a level he was performing. There's a lot that could go wrong, but I just did feel the risk reward at this point is favorable. Some people, I saw some of the bigger channels talking about support and resistance on these things. It's like, dude, there is no support and resistance here at all-time low. So you need to do a little bit of math to make your best guess on this one here. So Ronald Acuna, Topps update. Again, the trend is down. So your sell was in here. Talked about the low volume move, and just either don't buy into it, or if you can take advantage of selling, you do that. Look for it to return to a more natural level, which is kind of in here, and it's creeping below, and the momentum is still down. So you've got your line in the sand right here. So ideally if it just sneaks below this and recaptures it real quick, that would be terrific. Buyers just really step in. But if it sustainably closes below this and you start to see some buying stuff, then you're probably headed for some lower prices again. That momentum is down. A card that is holding up in relatively good fashion is his Topps Holiday. This is the ghetto bat down, ghetto version here. So the trend is up, and it's right around its highs here. So risk reward isn't super favorable, but it's a lower price card that people are looking at, as the traditional bat down probably is pretty expensive. So this is a nice alternative. Fernando Tatis. Doing everything he can here. My gosh, he's on fire here. But the trend is broken. So again, we had our sell up in this area here. So it's a nice spike. Take a few shots here, but it's not able to hold on. Once it breaks down, that's it for a little while. But it looks like, kind of like a lot of these other things, they're breaking trend, but they're going sideways, and you're starting to see accumulation of buying, which is a nice thing here. So as long as it tagged the upper end of that of the range that we've been looking at for a while, so see if it can hold that. But if not, then you're coming back into this area where hopefully all these people that sold, they bought down here, they sold down here, so they get reinterested. So if they bought here, maybe they sold up here and said, oh gosh, man, I'll even miss that if it ever gets back to this level. I'm buying again. So we'll see how that works out. A lot of buying in here, so I would consider it very key support. If not, then $70 PSA 10 is not all the cards, and there's bigger problems with the hobby than what's going on now. Juan Soto PSA 10. So again, your sell signal was up in here. This was your line in the sand, and we talked about this. Can't hold 280. You're coming back down to this area here. So, and in quick fashion, again, we like symmetry as humans. Quick move up. It's going to be a quick move down. So in an area where there's been a lot of buying before, so it could go a little bit lower here. Juan Soto. Honestly, if you look at his numbers, I mean, last year was off the charts, ridiculous in a short sample. And before that, he was good. 4 or 5 win player. He's kind of on more of that track than he is the world beater than he was last year. So maybe things are getting repriced just a little bit, but the trend is down and it's accelerating. But you are in an area that people have stepped up before. So all right, Shohei Ohtani. Not in a downtrend. It's a pretty good uptrend off the highs, but close to that one. So you had your uptrend, your consolidation, and this is between a couple of levels. I think it was what was it? $160. So I think this was like 145, and then on the downside you're about $90, so $50 on the upside. So you're looking for probably a $210 card or something like that. So that's right in this area. So again, trend is up and look for it to challenge those previous highs. Shohei Ohtani. I really like this card. I think this one looks sharp as heck. So kind of the same thing. We looked at this one last week here. So trend is up, and then you had your consolidation. The measured move here would bring it up to about a $210 card. It was sitting at about $160, $170 at the time here. Well, now you're at almost $230, so it just doesn't care. It's just blowing up past that. So so the Animal Spirits are coming back just a little bit, it seems like, but they're really picky on who they're going to, so you better be one of the top performers. And I think it was Northeast Ohio Sports Cards was talking about a study that he did where he was looking at football players in season, and just a few of them did well and everybody else was crap. And I think if you did the same thing across sports, I've seen that as well. The players that are the top handful of guys that are doing really, really well will get the love, and everybody else will be, not much will happen until the off season when people can speculate again. So prospect cards are doing well, but otherwise you need to go with Vladdy and Ohtani and maybe some lower price stuff here. So this is the PSA 9 of the no numbers. It supported a couple times and then it rocketed. Last week we looked at the PSA 10. PSA 10, $236. And at the time, the PSA 9, so I think it was just over $200 at the time. So the PSA 10's done just fine as well. But the PSA 9 was sitting at $38. I'm like, who knows what happens with Vladdy's cards? That support, everything else will break down. Maybe it breaks down as well. But he had another monster week. It's like, if you're going to buy, this is the spot. And I liked the PSA 9 at $38 and didn't think it would do this. But here you are sitting above sitting right at $80. So. And now, for a while, there's just been such a disconnect. You got to pay attention to these ratios. There's been such a disconnect between the 10 and the 9. And so, while the 10 it was like at a 7-to-1 multiple or something like that. And so now with the 10 at roughly $240 and the 8 at $80, now you're sitting at a fair value for this and sitting near the top of the range. So nothing you can do with it now. But again, last week, just looking at the ratios alone, the 9 probably had some catching up to do. But it's been disconnected for so long. Who knows? I'm not going to pretend, to say last week was the week to do it or anything like. Well, I did say that last week was the week to do it, but I'm saying for a while it's been cheap. So timing is part of the deal as well, and I didn't have that down. But there you go, near the top of the range for Vladdy, and if you're patient, I think you get another crack at it here. But that was that $40 area was the spot here. Topps Chrome again. You had your uptrend and broke that, retested it, and came down to this level where it's just kind of went along. So a lot of buying in that area before, and we're starting to see it again because he's a monster. All right, Matt Chapman. So I feel kind of bad about this one on Monday night, but I don't feel too bad because this is free. What do you expect from me, right? I'm just one guy. Looking at this Monday night, and who's sitting at a spot here. He's on one of my dynasty teams, so I was trying to figure out why. What the hell's going on, dude? You've been off for last year, now this year. Is this legit, or is there something going on? Came back down to this area, and I'm like, on Wednesday, I think I'm going to start a new thing where we call it pinch hit and just throw out a player that looks interesting. And totally missed it. So I'm sorry about that. So if it, $50, if it comes back down to the $30, $40 area, it looks interesting. Now, with Matt Chapman for the last couple of years, you've seen his strikeout rate increase and his hard hit, or not his hard hit rate, but his exit velocity continue to slide lower. It's about as low as it's ever been. So I think there's something structurally wrong. So I'm not super interested in Matt Chapman, but other people are if it gets down to that $30, $35 area. So keep that on your radar, I suppose. All right, Bryce Harper. player that I liked a lot last year. So my son and I would play. There's a game that we call Blind Reveal, and a lot of, it's not a new thing. A lot of fantasy websites do it, but it's a good exercise just to compare two players and take away what you think and just go with the just based off of the numbers. So we'll do one real quick here, and you can probably figure out who it is. I did this last year when I was talking about Bryce Harper, kind of in this area. I'm like, it's hit this area a few times, it's probably worth a buy. And the reasoning is he's on a really good Hall of Fame track. So if you look at these two players, they're both 28 years old, 7 months. Player A, 276 average, 239 for home runs, 681 RBI, 38 wins above replacement of 139 WRC plus thus far in his career. And then you have player B, nearly 300 average, 160, 526, 41 more, and 135 WRC plus. Player A, of course, Bryce Harper. Player B, Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts there's two players right now, position players, I think people would say, they're Hall of Famers, Mike Trout and Mookie Betts. And, Bryce Harper is right there with him. So it's like, maybe he should be getting some more love. And, it's a little bit tricky here. Mookie Betts cards should probably be worth more, even though I think they're similar. Mookie Betts has a couple of fewer years. He's got a higher WAR because he actually plays defense, and Bryce Harper, is not good at that. But Mookie Betts 2014 update, very short printed. He's got very few variations of that, and probably a lower print run. Bryce Harper was a hugely hyped prospect, and had like 87 different rookie cards in the flagship set. So I'm not saying it should be like the same price or anything like that, but we should be getting a lot more love than this. So he did, and now it's breaking down. So like everything else, you have your support here. Prices are breaking down, and if you're able to get it somewhere in that $90, $100 area, probably a good spot if you want to high grade Bryce Harper. So. Maybe right now, if you're just trying to have some fun, the ungraded or the 9s are the way to go while everything else is getting hammered. But it looks interesting, and I think that's just a player to have in your collection. All right, let's move on to some football. Matty Ice, right around the highs. Is he all right? Is it me, or is he just like ridiculously underrated? So right around his highs, which are around $400, which is nothing compared to like a lot of the new guys. So it's a 2008 Chrome. The population is probably way lower. Maybe that's not as much love as I think to be right around the highs, but yeah, it looks good there, right? So maybe not the place to buy or anything like that. The only trade, I'm not going to pretend to even guess what's going on here. Drew Brees raw. Looked at this a couple weeks ago, and just kind of outlined the lines here. It's really volatile and swings back and forth. But if you did anything with it, 30 is kind of your downside. 100, that $120 is kind of your high area here, and we're at that again. So caution the last few times that it's crept above it once, but quickly came back in. But you have these areas, these moves right here that were sold pretty quick, and now we're starting to see a little bit of action happening here. So now one of these days, maybe it goes up and stays up, But the probabilities would say, hasn't happened yet. Is now the time? So I would guess no, but it could. Who knows? But risk reward is not favorable at this point. So, all right. Last week we looked at him. So I hate to go back to the well, but gotta just throw out the hits and misses here. So right in this area, last few times it has been a buy. And this time it went just a little bit lower, popped above that level here, but now it's trending lower as well. So now it's a downtrend. So it's still near the low end of the range, and the risk reward sets up favorably. So just didn't get the pop that maybe I was hoping for at the $20 level. So the easy trade is maybe run out on this one, but if he starts having a good preseason, maybe it goes. But risk reward looks good. So I'll stick with saying, hell, heck, it's at least interesting here. But beyond that, I don't know. All right, Julio Jones, top chrome refractor. They only have refractors and stuff on card ladder. They don't have any bases, so I'm not sure how that works out. So middle of the range. We'll see what happens on. He wants out. So we'll see if he does. It could be newsworthy. But if you get up towards this level and the selling has taken place before, so we'll see how that works. See how that works out here. Middle range, not much to do right now, and I don't. Trading on the news is kind of a short-term deal, so not really my thing. But maybe it's your thing, and that's why I do this. So, and Dak Prescott, nice move here. A little bottoming process. You had your okay, so. right here was some accumulation, and then had this move up, thin volume or whatever. So it came back to that area, which things mostly do, especially on thin volume, and went up again. And now you're compressing and could break down again. So you could see a move down to 600 or something like 500. Who knows? Again, as long as it holds its line, you could see a pretty significant move up as well. You could see what is it sitting currently right now, $750, and if it comes up to 900 or something like that, that could certainly happen. But this is your range right now, so if it goes below this, then you're going to lose a couple $100, most likely. Doesn't have to happen, but it certainly could happen. But like everything else, if you just look at the rest of the market, compressing lower, and it could go right along with it. All right, a few basketball here. Trae Young, playoff time, right? I think he got off to a decent start here, and he broke below this. This is weak level of support. Not a whole lot going here. It's one inflection point. You don't have multiple touches, so it's not super reliable. So you have this, and then another one here, another touch here, snuck below it, then quickly went up. And you see, I'll show you another player where this is kind of the same thing is happening. So it might just be basketball in general. So the trend is down on this one. Momentum is trying to straighten itself out just a little bit here, but it has not as of yet. So the trend is down. Ideally, just wait till you see a bust out of this downtrend. But if you want to play, if you want to go ahead and have some fun, take some shots on it, then just below that $300 area, probably 280 or something like that, then whatever. It seems interesting enough. But maybe he goes nuts in the playoffs and catches a bid and pushes it up. That's more of an all clear. But as of now, we're not there yet. Or if we see these bands start to turn up. So Luke, all right, downtrend is here, and so I want to try and guess at a few levels. There's a lot of buying on the way down here, so at some point there's going to be more buying than selling, and it'll compress. But these cards were printed to the moon, so it could take a lot. So we'll look at some potential retracement options. We know that the trend is down, but it's kind of interesting how people without really knowing are hitting some natural levels here. So let's just call this the starting area here. You had your kind of your breakout, and then your high print of 2150, and so we'll start looking at Fibonacci retracements. If we went down 50%, which is kind of your first level, 1175, which is right in here. 61.8%. So these are usually your half to 2/3 roughly retracement levels here. 61.8% is 945. You should be able to get some decent buying in here. Current price 942, so really close. So this is one of those logical stopping points. If it can't hold this, then you're coming down to that 660 area, which is roughly this area of support right here. So I think you're getting close. Now, 946 to 660 is still a significant move, 30-40% or something like that. But yeah, it's getting interesting here. But again, it was interesting here. It's been interesting here. So the trend remains to be down, but some of these fib levels are at least offering a bit of a pause. So we'll see if it can kind of get it going, and we'll throw the momentum meter up once in a while. This just take a little bit of time to run, so I don't want to do them for everybody. But if that starts to curl back up, then we can start to be a little more aggressive about that. All right, John Morant. This was his previous all-time low, his starting point, and it broke below that. So this goes back a ways. But I'll take a little closer look here. So what you're seeing is this downtrend being broken. So it sounds like he had a pretty good start to the playoffs here. So a little fake break here, and there's a measured move to $200 or something like that. And I think Star Stock actually had a few sales in that area there. So the price did get there, just not on eBay and what Cardlytics was looking at. And it's not to say it hasn't done, but it's an interesting battle between the bulls that want to defend this line and the bears that are pushing it below and selling below it. So they're not really pushing it around. All they can do is sell. They can't bet against it. But downtrend broken, and momentum is really starting to pick up. Hasn't quite crossed yet, but we'll see what happens here. This is an interesting spot. This is an interesting card at this point here. It's a nice little kick save. We'll see if the buyers are willing to step in and keep this momentum going. So, all right, one old school good Bird, Magic, Julius. So it's been a while since I looked at this one. Probably that February area where everybody else was kind of peaking and said, you don't buy here. There's a lot of low volume moves here, and at some point you'll get a better shot. And you're starting to get a better shot here. So if you were patient and ignore this, then it's coming back to an area where you could see something. This is the PSA 8, so maybe you want a lesser grade version. That's still pretty expensive, but the trend is down on this one. And but again, it's coming up to a lot of these things are just coming into a place where it's at least starting to get interesting. All right, Neymar. He's only got one name, so he should be good, right? That's how it goes in soccer here. So compressing lower. So you had your bottom, and you're getting a bounce at that same reference point here. So prices are trending lower. So we'll see what happens. Again, above this, good. Below this, bad. Just keep it real simple. I don't know anything about soccer or if you should be doing good or not. But again, one name should be awesome. So, all right. And if you really want to, this is a tough market, so you need a strong individual to really buck the trend here. And so, if there's anybody that's going to do it, it is the Hulkster, right around his all-time highs. So, all right, again, I really appreciate all the time you spent watching this, and your comments and thumbs up sure mean a lot. As someone who doesn't get a whole lot of views and can't figure out why, I really, really appreciate each and every one. And I hope you all have a very pleasant Memorial Day